Here we go. All right. So, welcome to our all hands for February 11th, 2026. Take a quick attendance. Links, Tom, Arkisti, and Winverse. All right. So, it's our weekly all team tactical. We're going to use this time to sync up on what we're doing and eliminate blockers. So, in terms of BFoundation, we are a do-ocracy. Oh, well, first of all, we're here to help purpose-driven communities use Web3 tooling to generate revenue and engagement. We are a do-ocracy. So if you want to see something happen, do it, and then post about it on Discord, and we send out token weekly. The more you do, the more ownership you gain. On the like metric side, this is what we're trying to achieve. So 52,000 in the vault, which is roughly the same, and 2.5K in transaction volume, which is up 1,000 from the week previous. Lead metrics, we have 4 weekly contributors, 0 weekly external engagement. I didn't post anything on Black Flag, and I don't think others are either right now, and a 335 monthly burn rate. So that went down a little bit. It's kind of like a, it kind of does like a weekly average or something like that. So that should fall even further next month. Team-wide announcements. We have the standard bounties. I also wanted to mention that I'm traveling, going to Japan actually, in from mid-March to mid-April. So the all hands from March 18th, March 25th, April 1st, and April 8th are canceled, unless you guys want to meet, but I'm not going to be able to make it myself. All right. So on our project perspectives, getting to our first launch, no progress on B pages. On the B card app, the automation of monthly inactivity emails. Tom, do you have an update on this one?
So last week I was able to get the bulk of the code tested and deployed on production. Ran into a couple of headaches in that process in terms of transitioning from staging to production. I accidentally fired off some February statements, blank ones, obviously, to most of the users in my testing, and then ran into a bug that was looping sends. So probably about 100, 120 customers got 3 statements for January. And then the last 10 customers got a single statement to roll up the batch. But I think that hopefully that should take care of the worst of the issues. The cron job is scheduled. I'm monitoring on staging, and we're hopeful that the tail of the month, at the beginning of next month, we'll see our automated statements be fired out. The inactivity statements are also on production. A little more testing is needed. Right now it's deployed on cron for, proof only, test only. So it'll run me a cron report at its regular time, and I'll be able to take a peek and see if everything is all set up there before any emails actually go out, hopefully. And then should be able to flip that switch on for next month as well.
Awesome. Thanks for that update, Tom. All right. Black Flag Collective, I do need to set up the vote for January, kind of like let that to the wayside, but I'd rather set it up sooner rather than later because we have like a hard-coded 2-week period, and I'd rather the vote for January finishes before the end of February. So I'll try to set that up today. And on the yearly tax filing, how's this going, Richard?
So I was organizing files yesterday and trying to make sure I ran some more Taxman stuff. I think I've got everything, but I've been kind of trying to pull stuff together on it.
Did you run into any issues with Taxman? Or did you run into any like bugs or anything?
Not anything that I noticed.
Okay. I was running something yesterday, and I thought like I threw in my Farcaster wallet address, and I ran it flawlessly on my other wallet addresses, and it worked fine. I got the outputs, but my Farcaster one, I had some issues. So I was just wondering if you saw any issues. But yeah, I'll take a look at the error logs.
Yeah, the one thing that happened with me is I think I pushed the next button because it looked like the next button was or next step button was like active even when the job was running, and I think I ran it or I pushed that button before the job had finished, so I got a blank file.
Hmm.
That's the only thing that I noticed on an account that I knew had activity.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out and see if I can see if there's any errors that came up. I mean, like,
But
we're just throwing this in maintenance mode, but
right,
if you need something on it,
yeah,
let me know.
yeah, okay. Because yeah, and I don't know, like going forward, like on the because the pricing stuff probably falls apart when CoinGecko uh,
Yeah,
is done,
there's still some free tier limits
right?
and stuff like that.
Would that would the like would there need to be any change on the app for the free tier stuff to work, or
No, it should just revert to the free tier. And
okay,
so like it's basically like if you have a personal like it's the free tier basically is like the number of transactions you have, which is kind of
right,
like limited.
right,
So it will error out. It will basically like not finish
uh-huh,
like going through if there's too many transactions.
okay,
But yeah, that's kind of
okay.
what's
So the
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 situation there.
tool the tool would still work as long as you don't hit the trend, or work as previously as long as you don't hit the transaction limit. In other
Exactly.
words,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. And
all right.
I'm not actually sure what the uh, CoinGecko pricing. I'm not sure what the like how much the free tier has on it, but
Mm-hmm.
there's also like there's a basic as well, which is like so the reason we had we actually have this analyst
Mm-hmm.
package right now,
Right.
and so we have I think the reason why we wanted it is because it has 10 years of historical data.
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that's one of the reasons. Like we couldn't just do the basic for what we wanted. I'm not quite sure, but anyways,
The big
I feel like
was
this changed too. Like it was
oh, sorry. I was just going to say that another big thing was the rate limit as well too. Just how much per minute
yeah,
you can
yeah,
actually query.
yeah. So in this case as well, I think that they increased this to 2 years of historical data on the basic plan. Before it was I think only 1 year of historical data. Um, and then there is a free tier, but I'm not really sure. Oh, here demo attribution required, and so
Yeah,
you
that might.
can.
Yeah. Okay.
It might not. Oh yeah. So here, historical. This why it might not work that well is because the 1 year of historical
Mm-hmm.
data. So
Yeah. Yeah. That. Well,
yeah,
that's
might
yeah, because that would like for doing the tax, because the taxman stuff, you would probably be running it uh like 13 or 14 months
exactly, exactly. Yeah,
after the beginning of the data that you were querying, if you were just using it
yeah,
as standard. So
yeah. And like we can also like we can enable basic with the same API key and stuff. So,
mhm.
anyways, there's
Yeah,
options
yeah,
for
well,
us if we really need to.
yeah. Well, I think I have everything now for 2025. Um, I I want to like separately kind of figure out how I can uh like query some stuff a little bit better than just looking on Etherscan. Um, but
Hmm.
yeah. Anyway, so that's yeah. I'm kind of pulling stuff together. So that's the update on the taxes.
Awesome. Thanks for that update. All right. So don't have much. Actually, I forgot to put what did we ship last week, so I may as well put that in here right now before I forget.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we didn't do the prior week either. So there's.
Yeah. So I'll stick it in here, and I'll start putting that here. So here we go. Winverse taped and shipped to all hands. That's 2KB card. Mhm. I held and prepped to all hands. 2KB card. Uh, and then Arcusty entered contributor rewards. 15 minutes. Tom shipped commits to B card. That's 1K B card. And this is 250 B card. And then we had monthly state. Oh, you know what? I can grab all of these. Joint. Did all this stuff. Whoa. True. What is this? Added flag percent to alt. I think it's just the way that the Discord formatting is. So I think all of this is 6.5 hours. Is that right, Tom? According to what you wrote there.
Oh yeah, I
Not
think
sure.
so. Yeah.
Okay, so I won't do the math. uh,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
oh
that's right.
no, I wanted that one. Okay, so here we go. So I'll put it like this. Tom did a bunch of work. And then I'll put these like this. Doink, doink. There we go. Does that make sense, Richard? Like, are you gonna know what this is?
Yeah, I think yeah. For Tom's, yep.
Okay, awesome. And then we have this one, which is separate. All right. And this is Tom for 1300 E card. Oh, card. There we go. There we go. Okay. And I'll put this in here. Added. Ah, man, I'm not doing well with my keyboard today. Okay, great. Okay. What do we ship? And then into the discussion items. There's a couple of other things I wanted to talk about as well. One of them was, have you guys seen this Discord change?
Are you talking about
That will require
the age verification thing, or
yeah. Yeah,
yeah? Well,
so
I just saw that post and Cookies comment on it last night, but that's the only thing I've heard about it.
yeah, so it's just like I guess like like Discord has been saying like, oh, for the majority of users you shouldn't see anything. But yeah, I guess I just wondered on people's thoughts for it. I guess like Discord is our main community hub, so I wondered what you guys thought about it.
What? So I'm not. So are they asking everyone to like KYC or verify, or is it?
They're bas- they're basically saying if you don't do the biometric, so basically they from what I've seen, they look at your face, they estimate the age,
Uh-huh.
and then they use that to unlock features. So otherwise, you're not going to be able to use things like, so for instance, we're on a stage right now. I don't know if we'll be able to use a stage if we don't KYC. And I think like, okay, well, we don't have to use a stage. We could use a voice chat, right?
Mhm.
Like, it doesn't
I,
have to be a stage.
yeah. So I wonder. One thing I've noticed is that so I on what is it? It's I have like I'm on the Bright ID channel, and I cannot see their stuff on the iPhone because they don't there's no like verification on there's I get some message on the iPhone like says like it's like App Store doesn't allow stuff that doesn't uh, confirm age related stuff, but I don't see that on any other server, and I'm wondering if that's like something to do with the app store, or does it have something to do with like the whole thing about social media and uh, like young people and the lawsuit and laws and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I'm not really sure. But like, I guess like Like, if we start seeing things, I guess like the question for me is like, are we willing to change from Discord to something else? And if so, like, what would we change to? Like, personally, I like Discord, but I'm 100% not going to KYC. So I'm not going to give them my biometric data. I just don't trust them.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I'm
What,
happy to use just like the free stuff or whatever. But
right.
yeah.
What would be, I guess what would be some of the alternatives?
Yeah, so like there's like, well, I mean, there's something called Quorum Messenger, which runs on Equilibrium, which is another thing like I kind of wanted to show people as well. But it's much less functional, right? Like I don't even think that there's voice chat at all. And then there's like things like Telegram and Signal, which again, like, okay, like you're not going to get the full kind of like community vibe with Signal and Telegram. I don't know, like it's like I don't, I know they have like voice chats and stuff, but I don't think they have like voice channels. It's not the same experience. We could use IRC, but again, it doesn't have voice. We could use Slack and that kind of thing. Um, so I don't know. There's alternatives, but personally, I like Discord, but I'm not going to KYC just because I like them.
And yeah, and, well, and then I guess the other thing is that, so like, is that something that's going to come up for existing users, or
I
like you
think
can't
so.
go, so it's okay. So at some point they're going to be going through the users, and you'll get like the terms of service thing or whatever, and then you have to do these steps. Is that what you're kind of expecting?
Yeah, and like I'm not going to do them. I think probably a lot of people won't do them. And then you're just going to get like a shorter experience, or like you're going to get an experience with like less stuff.
Hmm.
But
Well, yeah.
they were kind of backtracking and they're saying like, oh, for the majority of users, it won't affect you even if you don't KYC, right? And so it's like, okay,
Okay.
well,
Yeah. Yeah. I guess.
we don't
I
actually
mean,
know.
right. If the yeah, I mean, if the whatever limits they put on the functionality doesn't uh, materially impact what we're doing, then I don't see why you wouldn't continue using Discord. But right now I can't really picture like how the experience would change after the.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have to just kind of wait and see how the experience changes for the most part. Yeah. I don't know. Any other thoughts? Did anyone see this kind of news? Did you think any other things? No? No big deal. Okay, cool. Well, we can leave it there for now. Um, One thing I did want to show, and I wonder if I have it open in another tab, uh, is the Equilibrium console, which is, so this is interesting. It is like, and so it is this person on Farcaster, and you know what, let me switch my screen here. Um, and their goal is to build an alternative to AWS. If you don't know what AWS is, it's where people will host things. So for instance, Vercel puts their stuff on AWS. And so you're essentially paying Vercel. When you pay for Vercel, you're paying for them to handle your AWS kind of deployments, and that kind of thing. So it's AWS under the hood. And you can also just, which is Amazon Web Services, and you can also create your own Amazon Web Services, so like folders and that kind of stuff. Sorry, servers and that kind of stuff. So this person's goal was to build a decentralized AWS. So what's the problem with AWS? Well, AWS can and has in the past censored some content, some servers. They said you can't host your stuff on our system. And the US government can also compel them to do these things. And they are not allowed to say that the US government told them to do. So, anyways, uh, just like every other centralized service, they can be compelled to do things. They can be a gatekeeper in some ways. So this person's idea was to create a decentralized AWS, which is built on a blockchain-like structure, and it's pretty interesting. It's super early, but you can kind of see here. Here is my Q console, and so Q storage is their like answer to Amazon S3. Um, QKMS is the key management service. So basically, you can create keys, so like secrets, essentially. Tom and I were discussing, hey, we have these admin panels. Where are we going to store these secrets? Well, we could store them here. Identity and authorization. This is to create new accounts, new services, that kind of thing. So, for instance, we could create a new team, and I could create an account for Tom that had some sort of identity and authorization. This could be something that could replace the way that we use Privy. I mean, not really. I actually don't think because it's not the same kind of thing. But yeah, and then there's a message queue service. There is a pub sub notification service. This is a Farcaster node, and Quark is a 3D asset library. Oh, I don't even know what this is. And they also have like SQ, or they're coming out with SQL, um, let's say, what is it, compatible databases and this kind of thing. Anyways, I just wanted to show it to people because I thought it was cool, and it may be what we need to decentralize some of our services, like this admin panel that we were talking about. Um, I don't know. Any questions or comments on this? Let's see if I can log into Core Messenger too. So this is also built on that same uh, blockchain-like thing. And so here is their version of Discord for a messenger. So you can see you have like a couple of channels here, and there's not much going on in here right now. You can see that there's not much going on here, but there's some direct messages that I have. And yeah, this is their answer to um, Discord. So yeah, all very rudimentary stuff, but pretty interesting nonetheless. Any questions or comments on that? No?
Do you guys think we're in a golden age of software deployments, or do you think it's going to be like an avalanche of software deployments? Like, do you think the tooling and the capabilities of more people to like build more software and get more things out there, that's going to like everybody's going to be swamped? Or do you think like just the cream will rise to the top and like the best will win?
I mean, the hope is that the cream rises to the top eventually, but I don't think that that's going to happen in the short term. I think like I think we are in the age of slop right now. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That's what I was gonna. I was just gonna say. Does Tom mean software slop or like that
Yeah.
AI slop?
Well, the thing is, I
Or,
I consider all software to be slop. I think from the get go, and it's only through like continued attention and continued care that you're able to like pare away the bugs and make things work really well and like be responsive to the way that people are using your software. And it feels like a lot of things can be built quickly now, but whether or not they keep the attention to keep getting better or solve the small problems that may exist, it feels like I'm not sure which way it may go. We might end up with 10,000 version 0.1 Discord clones as opposed to one or three very nicely polished like Discord style platforms.
yeah, yeah. No, so I'm inclined to agree with you. Um, I think that care and attention is something that I think people underestimate. Like they kind of underestimate like let's say the let's say the need for it, and also like the amount of work that it is. So it's something that I think is right now, like the whole meta around um software development is, oh, you can do everything now. And like the truth is, like, there are a lot of people that I know that are professional developers who are like, I don't even write any code anymore, and they're working on big software code bases. So yes, it is a tool that's helping them. And at the same time, there's a bunch of people who are claiming like, oh, you're not going to need any software developers anymore because you can write your own stuff and you don't need to worry about that. And that means everyone's going to get rich off of making their own software. And I just don't believe in. So I do think there'll be tons of Discord clones that suck. And I will say that this person has been working on Equilibrium for like 5 years. And so I don't think that they're like kind of like a one and done type situation. I think that they're going to continue working on this for the foreseeable future.
Oh yeah,
And they
sorry.
do put a lot of attention and care.
I
Yeah.
did mean to imply that this was going to be one of those situations for sure. I was just thinking in the long term, like as more and more of us want to customize and like do our own thing, does that make it impossible for even smaller deployments that are trying to do a specific edge case style software solution like Equilibrium? Like, will they be crowded out by lack of audience, like a lack of people who are willing to give it the time to try it?
I think the playbooks that worked in Web 2 when software itself was a moat aren't going to work in Web 3. Sorry, not aren't going to work in this new kind of like AI enabled world. So, just like flooding people with like getting a ton of money and flooding people for their attention to get them to use Discord or latest app. I don't think that's going to work as much because there's just going to be so many of those. And so we're going to go back to some of those distribution techniques that we had kind of pre Web 2, which is like, hey, I know Tom is a technical person and I'm looking for a technical solution to something. So, hey, Tom, what would you use to keep in track of a community? Like, what do you use for your community management software? And Tom, because you're already in that space, you maybe have used a bunch of them and you found one that you really liked, and that will be the one that you recommend to people. So I think we're going back to a time when distribution is going to get more difficult or maybe slower, like because there's just so much crap out there that those kind of like existing marketing channels aren't going to work as well.
Yeah, we all have to figure out who we trust, right? And like who's going to give us the advice that's going to move us in the right direction. As somebody who has a small business that I support, probably about 60 or 70 clients that are all sort of like facing these questions. I get asked a lot of questions lately about like, what software do I recommend or what services do I recommend? And I found myself lately becoming more and more hesitant about like being definitive about any specific software package or suite that I haven't had like as you say years of experience like on to give somebody like a full and fair like assessment of like that I believe this software is good and that I believe it will continue to be good in the future. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much confidence I have in like even my loosely held opinions, I guess, about a lot of these platforms these days.
Yeah, and another thing related to it as well is also that, like, okay, that VC model where everyone is kind of like, we'll figure out profitability later. Let's just get users. Well, that becomes unsustainable now. Like all of those kinds of types of software are ripe for disruption in a way. And so even if something is like a well-funded group, that may not mean that they're going to be around for a couple years even, right? And so even things like Discord, like, hey, maybe they'll realize that their business model doesn't work, and they're going to have a harder time like getting revenue, and so getting investment. And so that kind of like more sustainable approach starts to become, oh, okay, well, I'm interested in the software because I think it's going to be around because it's more sustainable from like a financial perspective. Oh, they're making money in some way, shape, or form. I want them to be around, and they're not doing this kind of Silicon Valley approach, which is really just burn as much money as you can, hope that you can get investments and users. I think um, I think that that's less sustainable than it's ever been now.
Yep, that's my fear too. Sustainability has to be core, right? And without the sort of knowledge about the way to get there to sustainability, it's like I'm not sure. I'm sure people will find the way there, but it's like I'm just not sure if the roadmap is well known.
Yeah, and then you add on top of it like um, yeah, so yes, and I think like part of it is like, hey, do I have access to my data? Do I have access to these kinds of things? Like, can I move off this platform easily? And before that, there's kind of like this like vendor lock-in, which was normal and expected, and maybe okay if the company's gonna be around for a while. But if that's not the case, I think that um, data portability is going to be more important. Anyways, we'll see. Sustainability comes in like a lot of shapes and forms, right? And so, uh-oh, my fire alarm's going off. Can you hear that? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. I heard the voice in the background. Was that like?
Yeah.
That's
Do
the
you have
alarm
to?
warning.
Do you have to
That was
leave, or
no,
do you have to?
they're doing a test. No, they're doing a
Oh, okay.
test. They said. I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
But now it's probably going to be going off like every.
Yeah, we'll see. Usually it's not terrible when they do tests, but they usually don't announce it like this either. So hopefully it's not so bad. We'll see. So yeah, I do think that like user owned data kind of starts to be interesting, and I also think that like something about user owned data as well is that there's a couple of solutions to this problem being worked on right now, um, and I don't know which one's going to be the best one. There's one by one of the guys who invented the internet. There's one by Blue Sky, user owned data. Um, there's I guess you could consider Farcaster and stuff involved in this too. But yeah. Oh boy. Okay.
Is it? Is
um,
it? It doesn't sound. I think it might be filtering out a little bit. I can hear a little bit. Uh,
well, that's
but
good.
you
I'm
you
glad
you
that's
might be
filtering out that then.
you might be hearing quite a bit more on your side.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll stop soon. Um, anyways, unless you guys want to continue on that subject, I wanted to have a little discussion around the playbook. So this is kind of where we left it last time. We had the way. So given which is kind of like what is our moral authority to do anything? Well, we want to create tools to make blockchain more usable in real life. Um, and then the heavens, which is kind of like things that we can't control, trends, the battlefield, and or like the weather, that kind of things. We believe more people will start small businesses, and the earth. This is things that we can kind of like steer around. So we must build niche, small scale, low maintenance tools that can create value even without TradFi. And so I was thinking about this a little bit. Like, put another way, we can create. Can we create tools to help people option out of the TradFi system? So this is something that I was talking with Tom about yesterday. I said opt out, and Tom said, oh, maybe it's more something like option out. This idea that like, okay, you have to use a bank, and so you're kind of like stuck on that because if you don't have a bank, you can't really get paid for a job. I mean, you can get paid in cash, but that's happening less and less now. And so if someone decides at some point in the future that they don't like what you're saying or doing, and they have the ability to just kind of stop your access to banks, actually that is a pretty big form of oppression. And you hear like the Silicon Valley tech giants like kind of complaining about this. Oh, they debanked me and stuff like that. I feel like for them it's not that big of a deal because they are like like cross national. They probably have tons of money they can access. But for a regular person, it's a lot worse. And that's I think where that idea of banklessness came from. People who are kind of like outside of the traditional system, or came at odds with the traditional system, came to relate with that bankless message. But I think that um, if we're thinking about optioning out, we can think of things other than banks that might have an effect on our daily lives for normal people, not just crypto people, right? So, for instance, like an alternative to Shopify and Stripe that we've talked about in the past is like a digital sovereign cash register. Hey, I want to sell something online. I don't want a KYC. Um, Here's a way to do it. You can use blockchain tools to do it. Another thing is like AWS. Instead of having a central server, well, you can run your own server, right? Or you can also use, but that can also be seized. Or you can use something like Equilibrium, which has like these kind of um, cloud servers that you can use that can't be uh, that can't be seized. And so, like, I guess, like the question to me is like, what else? What are the things that have a daily impact on people's lives, and are centrally controlled that might be useful for us to that might be useful for us to create an alternative to, like even small things that are small annoyances that we just have in our daily lives. They that we might get locked into something. Is there a way for us to option out? Does that explanation make sense?
Yeah, it does to me.
So for instance, one of the apps I've been wanting to make for a while, I haven't had a chance to make it yet, but like essentially a contactless app. We talk about like user control data. Hey, all of my contacts are in iPhone, or in like my iPhone contacts, or they're in my Gmail contacts. And actually it's really annoying to like have to um like reconcile these. It's really annoying that I have like two lists of contacts. Oh, by the way, I have like another list on Farcaster, and every time a new social app comes out, I have a new list there. I wanted to create an app that basically is like your self-sovereign contact list. It's probably just interesting for me, maybe not anyone else, but with the age of AI, we can actually create that kind of thing. Are there any other kind of annoyances in your day-to-day life? No, nothing. Nothing. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, yeah, and no, I'm trying to think of, yeah, no, well, I was thinking about the contact stuff too, like kind of how sometimes it's a, a pain, or like uh managing that stuff, and then like giving some system access to uh the data, and like I was, well, I don't know if this is, it's not really a parallel or whatever, but like I was using two two phones and two uh, uh, like I two phones and two identities last summer, just because I was traveling and I have a like non-US phone number that I put on a Android phone, and then I've like I
Yeah.
use iPhone or whatever, and I had to make like duplicate contacts of people just so that I wouldn't get them like messed up in the between the two systems.
Yep.
And like it would be nice if there would be a different way that could be handled. And maybe
Yep.
my workaround was lame, because like one thing I was doing, I was using lots of WhatsApp because we were like communicating between family family members about stuff, but it's like I had to say like, oh, this is this ID or whatever on WhatsApp, and I had separate like contacts for them so that they would be in that world on that phone, because I had like unlimited data where I was, and and not really good Wi-Fi access. But I don't
Yep.
know, maybe that's like a tangent there. I just think there
Yeah.
would
Well,
have
I
been a
think
bit.
like one of the things Tom and I talked about was basically, like, what does it mean to like to create some of these systems? It's kind of like if we really want to be user friendly, we actually have to create like this kind of like core system, like for instance, like your contacts or whatever, and then you have like all of the ways that like because we want to be user friendly, we want to bridge a gap to the user. Then we have to have like all of the ways that anyone might want to use it. So like, hey, I have all of these contacts that I have on my one WhatsApp. I want to import them, and then I want to use them on another WhatsApp, right? Like that's kind of that's a composable piece on top of it, and so we kind of have to we kind of have to think about that as we're building because there is like this kind of like core piece which is like self-sovereign, but then everything around that doesn't necessarily need to be as much that like it could be it needs there needs to be something that bridges the gap between that kind of opt out piece, that opt outable piece, and the way that the user actually wants to use it. Does that make sense?
Uh, yeah, and I think it's just like, I mean, it's kind of there's probably ways to do it, but uh, generally it's like really like complicated, and then the alternative is that you just use like a corporate provided pre-configured easily used system, but it locks you in and doesn't give you flexibility. Um,
Yeah.
and I think like the Apple ecosystem is probably like the best example of that, because if if
Yep.
you're in that world, they make it like work really well between stuff. But then you notice along the edges that like with the green message bubbles and stuff, that it gets a little harder, but they like it's so convenient to use. It's like you're just kind of you get locked into it.
Yep.
Is it something about the
Yeah.
ease of use compared with like the interoperability of these like systems? Like
Well, yeah,
every phone's got to use the main network, right? And so like we're all sort of like
right.
stuck with the technical limitations on there. But then the solutions that get built on top, like, do you think it would be best if like there was only Apple and like everybody only had Apple, or do you like the idea that
Oh no, no. Well, so I
I'm a
guess the
big
thing
Apple
is,
guy too. All my stuff is Apple, so I know exactly where you're coming
right.
from. That it works well. But
It's well, it's kind of a thing. Like there's this tug of war between like you the free and open, but like having so many choices and so many decisions to make. And I think it's probably like what we were talking about earlier. It's probably only going to get worse because, it's getting so much easier to put stuff together. There's going to be, well, I mean, there's an opportunity for you to do something, like put together something of your own that exactly solves your specific purpose. But like then there's just so much stuff out there, and then the other side of it is like, okay, well then there's something that works easily, and pretty much seamlessly, but you're kind of locked in.
And everything requires like a
Yeah,
little
I
bit
think
of
it.
learning from the user, right? Like whatever system you have, however easy it is, if there's a transition to be made, somebody's got to take the onus on themselves to learn a new thing. And to me, that's the biggest hurdle to
Mm-hmm.
overcome in trying to get like any sort of meaningful change at scale, is that like you have to think about either making something that's so compelling and so amazing that it is like a no-brainer for everybody to like sort of make that lift in learning or make that lift in change of behavior, or it's like something is mandated to be, this is the way that it's done and this is the only way that works. It's yeah, I'm not sure like what to do to get people off I don't want a new app, or I don't want to try to go to this website, even if it is going to like save them time or money or something in the long run.
Yeah,
It's like the value prop is a hard sell.
I think there's a couple things there. One is that like in general, I think it's been proven over the last decade or two that most people will choose convenience over learning something new. Like almost always, almost 100% of the time, they'll choose convenience, right? And so people don't want to run their own servers. People like, even though lots of people could be building their own extremely niche thing, I think the vast majority of people, like 90%, will not. Like they don't want to learn how to use like AI to make their own thing. Maybe that changes for younger people who are kind of growing up, and so maybe it's a generational change. But I think most people, even the younger people, I think most of them won't necessarily want to build every single app for their extremely niche use case. They might want to build one or two apps for something that bothers them enough, but I don't think that they would like I don't think most people would try to replace things that work well. I think most people would be willing to pay for things that work well rather than kind of like learn these other things.
Nobody needs to
Tom,
build
I
their
see you
own
unmuted there.
word processor, right? It's like that's the type of idea that we're thinking, is just like once there is a word processor that works well for everybody or whatever, nobody's thinking, man, I really got to build myself a new Microsoft Word or something.
Yeah. And then another thing is like when we talk about this opt out, one of the bad things about opt out is that like it implies that you're building the same thing but decentralized. And actually, that's a terrible strategy because if you're building the same thing but decentralized, there's network effects. There's like a kind of like a draw to stay with. There's inertia to stay where you are. So like if you're like, hey, I want to replace Goodreads with the decentralized Goodreads, well, actually, most people who use Goodreads will be like, I don't care, right? Like this works for my needs. And so when you're really trying to enable that, what you need is what you said, Tom, something that there's some benefit that's so big that they actually move over. There's some net new behavior that this technology unlocks that is just not possible elsewhere. And I think that that's when we're talking about opting in, it's not about re- replacing kind of like one for one what exists out there, even though that's kind of how I put it in the notes there. It's more about unlocking some new functionality that will make people want to take the hurdle. Um, like, hey, I don't know how to use this thing, but there's some new functionality that I could never do before that I want to use this for. And we've seen like even with AI and stuff, okay, a lot of people are using it, but I don't think like everyone is using it, right? Like even now, people are using ChatGPT, but they're not necessarily using coding or anything like that. Even with ChatGPT, there are people who are kind of like, I don't want to change. But ChatGPT was a very big consumer moment for AI, which it kind of like made AI a lot more accessible for a lot more people. And so it's kind of like, okay, well, what is a blockchain version of that? and how does that help you kind of opt out, right?
AI is a great
So
use case
yeah,
in
there's
terms of
there's a
like getting people off of zero for use, right? You can see exactly what all these companies are trying to do by lowering the bar, the barrier to like get people to just use these tools or try them out for the first time. Like no cost, no sign in, just a website, don't need an app. Like I mean, there's it feels like they've thrown the doors open wide to try to get as many people through it as possible. And even so, like it's when was it 2022 that ChatGPT came out? It took 3 or 4 years to get my wife interested to try it out. And she used it this week and she's like, wow, it's so like it answered my questions about the like this thing I was looking up like so good. I was just like, yeah, welcome to the future.
yeah. It's essentially like, I mean, ultimately, it's in a lot of ways you could just say, oh, it's like an alternative to Google, right? Like it's like that's kind of how you can fit it in someone's worldview, but it's, so much more than that, right? When you actually get into it, there is net new behavior there that just doesn't exist, right? And so I think that it's like you could position it as really just the same as Google, but I think that doing so is not um really like looking to the scale of it, right? Like it's like saying like how Google is a better encyclopedia. It's like, yes, but you can do so much more. It enables all these other things more than just what you think, right? Like it's more than just an encyclopedia.
Yeah,
So it's more than just a Google search, right?
right. We can only contextualize the benefits of the thing that we're using in the framework that we understand already, right? So it's almost like the understanding about what is possible needs to change before people can take advantage of a lot of these new capabilities.
Yeah, but I do think that idea that like they're using a familiar thing to contextualize the initial benefit. Oh, it's a better Google. I think that that's a good way to to get people to start to relate with the benefits. But I think it needs to go beyond that. I think if you really want like people to adopt it over the long run, it needs to be something more than just, oh, it's a better Google, even though that's the way that you might describe it to someone at first. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm really explaining this right.
Yeah, no, agreed. You need to get a framing, like I said, something that gets people off of zero, right? It needs to match to an understanding that they have, that they know that it's going to be a benefit for them. Like if you
What's
are,
zero? Xero? Is it
what's that? Sorry.
what's zero? What's zero?
Oh, not doing anything.
Oh, zero. Okay, that's what
Zero
you mean.
activity. I'm just saying, like, yeah, get them to change their behavior,
Okay.
right? Like, the people, I think, in general, like, don't want to make change. That people want to sort of stick with what they know. That people want to sort of like understand. They don't want to learn a new thing. They'd rather learn
Yep.
zero.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like they come for X and they stay for Y. Yeah, there's a lot of inertia with people, right? And like, you can't really blame people. It's a pretty um busy world. Lots of people are um like completely they have like no time to do anything, right? And why does something deserve attention versus something else, right? And so um it makes sense, right? And so like it has to be something remarkable, something worth their time. Uh, and at the same time, it has to be presented in a package that is familiar. So it's like it's it's a difficult situation because it needs to be both familiar and completely new.
And exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can imagine something new
So
and
yeah, not
horrifying, but you really want something new and exciting that, like, pushes people in a positive direction towards, whatever is going to benefit.
yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, we're kind of running low on time, but yeah, I just wanted to pull that up, that kind of thinking. It's just something I'm chewing on. Um, I'm trying to spend a little bit more time on that aspect of things because I really need, like, what I really want is some strong direction that helps me um, understand what I could be doing. And for me, it really does start. Sometimes it feels like we're looking for a problem for blockchain to solve, and I feel like I'm um, mm, in some ways like I'm that that's my fault, right? But I think that we really have to start from the user side of things. And so if we think about things in our daily lives that are frustrating because of a centralized gatekeeper, well, blockchain's one technology that might help us solve that. So yeah, I just wanted to get people thinking about that and sharing their thoughts. So I appreciate you guys being here to have that discussion with me.
Yep. Thanks to you. It's always great to think about these things in a little bit more deep terms, and the guidance helps as well for me.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks.
Well, thanks everyone. Talk to you later.
Have a great
Bye.
week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.